Hi, I'm Dr. Mike Smith. I'm here today for our Business Spotlight series, and I am happy to introduce Marc Metz. Mark, tell us about your company.
Well, I'm the founder and principal of Optimus Sales Group. We are fractional CRO, fractional sales VP, however you want to say that, fractional sales manager.
Huh?
What I really do and where I really shine is I come in and help companies grow sales, but it could be in their strategy, it could be in their process, it could be the people, how they manage their people. I look at all aspects of sales and just help them build business based on fixing the areas of sales that need work.
Right. Great. Well, thank you for visiting with us today. And we're going to ask you a series of questions we talked about before. So let's just break the ice here. So you're a senior statesman like I am. You've been around a little while. So what would you do differently if you had to start from square one in business again?
I've actually owned businesses. Gosh, I started my first business when I was 22
Hmm.
and actually gave that away to a couple buddies that
Yeah.
helped me start the business. I moved on, turned into a decent business, and I've owned several businesses over the years. But in this business, the thing I would have done differently was I did a lot of networking to build this business. And
Okay.
I went really wide. I just didn't go deep. So I go a lot deeper in my relationships with this business early on.
Excellent. So what are your biggest learnings as an employer since you began in business? I'm sure over the period of time you've had employees or contractors that you worked with. What are some of the biggest learnings that you've had in working with employees?
Yeah, the employee side, you really got to understand. One of the things I learned early on is when you hire the person, you hire their spouse. So I used to,
Okay.
when I'd hire engineering people, I'd say, "Hey, we want to take you and your wife out to dinner so she gets to know me." When in
Yeah.
reality, I was getting to know her.
Right.
I had a couple hires in the early days when it wasn't a good. He was a good hire and everything, but the wife was constantly chirping in his ear that the company was screwing him over, wasn't getting paid enough, all of these types of
Right.
things, and it's turned into a hassle. So you
Right.
really are hiring not just that person. That's the biggest lesson that I learned early on.
That's a really good analogy to provide, and I think it's sage experience. Um, so owning a business, there's a lot of misconceptions that your family and friends might have. How do you address your family and friends when they have those misconceptions about business?
A lot of people when you talk to them, and it's really in a really narrow, very skin deep, if you will.
Mhm.
But they think, oh, owning a business is great. It's so much fun. It's just all this freedom you get and all of these things. And yes, that is
Right.
there, but there's also a lot of stress and a lot of hassles. And being a smaller business person, I mean, the biggest company had 6 employees that I had.
Right.
Um, the grind is huge. And what
Right.
they never see is when you're out there at 7 o'clock at night doing things for the next day to get things prepared or whatever
Right.
it is, the hours that you truly put in, they see the
Right.
benefits. Always had nice cars. I've had nice homes.
Right.
I always had the stuff and did the things and we go vacations and all that. They don't see that, 80-hour a week that you put
Right.
in to get there. And
Right.
that's usually the biggest thing that you try to impart on these people. It's not everything. You just don't see everything that goes on. You see the fun stuff.
Right. I always hear the term lucky. You're just lucky. You're very lucky, right? And I majored in entrepreneurship in college, and our professor says, you all are lucky. He goes, luck is where opportunity meets preparation.
Yeah.
And that's what you call luck.
If
And
anything
he
grind.
goes,
Yeah.
and he goes, dumb luck is where you just win the lottery out of a number, right? But luck is where preparation meets opportunity.
I
So
was
over
called a
the
lucky salesperson for years, and
yeah,
they never understood because I did the hard stuff. I would call people at 4:30 and 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Most
right,
important people are sitting at their desks at those times. They're not
right,
there at 1. You want to call. Those
right,
types of things, sales are considered lucky, not luck.
right,
Right?
exactly. So what do you attribute your growth to? Tell us a bit about your growth and what do you attribute your growth?
When I first moved into sales, I was an engineer, electrical engineer out of school doing automation work for factories. And my
Okay.
boss says, you ought to move into sales. I was an admin. I said, no, hate salespeople. They suck. He said, don't sell, solve their problems. So I did.
Mhm.
Sold $4.5 million of our stuff, if you will, in 6
Mhm.
months. They wanted me to do 750,000. Well, I got a huge paycheck, huge commission. The next year, I focused on the money and the commissions, and my sales went in the tank.
Oh,
And I
wow.
said, what's going on? I was focusing on the wrong things. So the focus needs to be on your customer, on outside. Don't focus on yourself. I'm just trying to go giver. Read that book. It's a great book. It's a good, it's a good learning tool of how your focus should be. And if you apply the principles in that book, you're going to be successful.
That's excellent advice. So one of the things we talked about earlier was around the misconceptions, and you talked about, putting in the time, energy, and effort in being successful. How do you balance your personal life with the demands of your business?
At this point in my life, I pretty well shut her down by 5 o'clock.
Okay.
When I was young, I mean, my kids even say, I talk about this. We had the cats in the cradle conversation years ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I started my first business when my children were young. We actually bought a convenience store and I had my own business around the same time, just so we could get the freedom to be with the kids. And I always took the
Mhm.
time when the kids had something going on. If I was in town, I mean, I didn't travel a lot, but when I was in town, I made sure I did everything with the kids. We took the time, and I would just, when they go to bed, I'd go back to work sometimes. That was just how it was.
Right.
So with children, that's one thing, the family piece. But now at this age, I don't want to work that hard, so I just don't.
You probably get more done and more results. I find as we get older, we
The
can do less.
efficiencies.
We become more efficient, more effective, more focused.
I talk to clients, they're like, you can do this in 4 hours a week. I said, you will be surprised how much I can get done because I don't have to think about it. We just do it. And I've done it
Right.
so many times before, it just flows and it's done. So, and they all usually almost every time say, can't believe it, but yeah, it's getting done.
Yep. So we talked about employees a little bit, and you talked about going, hiring both the employee and then having dinner with the spouse. But what qualities you look for in employees, and how do you foster a positive and productive work environment with them?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the things that we used to do, and I still do, I mean, I don't have employees now. My wife is my bookkeeper, so that's a little
Yeah.
different. But we would do a lot of a quarterly fun event.
Right.
At least once a month, I take everybody out for pizza and whatever,
Right.
local and just get together. Never a micromanager, but I was, try to be tough but fair.
Right.
Say, look, I want a plan. I want to know how you're going to do your job. Here's your job description. I want you to take that and augment it. And I hold them to those standards. This
Right.
is your standard, not mine. You added to this. This is what you feel you need to do to be
Right.
successful at your job. I'm going to help you get there. Is there anything getting in your way? Right? We're there to support our employees as well. It's just not a take, take, take. So focusing on their needs, and understanding. I had one guy, he worked for me. He was an app engineer and he was very, very straight laced, right? And when I
Mhm.
built my house, I took a fair amount of time off, not tons. I'd go early and come in,
Right.
whatever. And Steve came back to me because 2 years later, he built his house. And I never said a word to him. He was in and out. Oh, I gotta go to this. I gotta go to the house to
Yeah.
check this out, do this, do that, do that. I let him go. Never said a word because he was very conscientious. Never had to worry about him getting the work done.
Yeah.
But at the end of that process, he came to me and apologized, even though he never said anything to me. He goes, "Man, I gotta apologize." Why? He goes, "When you were building your house, I thought you were sloughing off and just jacking around and just getting out of the office." He goes, "I just went through that and I gotta apologize because I was completely wrong. And you did a great job while you were building your house. And I hope I did as well for you." And I said, "Oh, sure,
Yeah.
Steve, it was great." So that was a kind of an eye opener.
Great. So let's get into a little bit about your business. Tell us some really good examples of how you have helped organizations, small companies, really improve their sales, or tell us a few of those stories if you have those available you can share.
And one I shared with a local president of a bank, and they knew the company. They were
Mhm.
bragging about this young man in the company and how well they got it going on and how their sales
Right.
were going and all that. And I said, "Yeah, he wasn't like that when I started with him." She never mentioned his name.
Huh?
And I said, "Oh, I know who you're talking about. It's this so and so, it's such and such." She goes, "Yeah,
Mhm.
how did you know?" I said, "He wasn't like that when I started working with him." And I took their business on. We did the strategy piece, and I said, "My God, your strategy I mean, it's right there." I said, "Your biggest challenge is awareness. People need to know that you're here
Right.
because you've got the trifecta. You've got all three: quality, price, and delivery. Nobody has all three. We've had all
Oh,
three.
wow.
And we put together a plan. I started some marketing newsletters, emails, things like that, just for awareness, right? LinkedIn campaigns, so people would know. It's a very specific industry they sold to. And I said, all right, our first year, well, I was there for 3 months at the end of the
Right.
first, then next year kicked. I said, all right, you did 2.7 million. What do you want to do next year? We got to have a number. I want to do 3.4. Okay, cool. I love three. That's a good number, good growth.
Right.
I said, we're going to put a stretch goal together, 3.7. Will you take the team somewhere fun if you get three? Oh, absolutely. So we focused on that. We hit it hard. They did 5.2 million the next year.
Oh my
It
gosh.
just, yeah. So that was a good one. Another one is a remote only client. And I was listening to phone calls that these specialists were having with their people, with the people that would call in. It was mostly inbound leads. And
Yeah.
I don't do a lot of, see, this was, and I'm listening, and it was an addiction recovery center. I'm like, hearing these addiction specialists with salespeople, and
Right.
not connecting to all. And I thought about it, and it says, I asked the CEO, I said, are they potentially driving when they're talking to these people? He says, very possible. They're all remote. I said, we got to have them stop right
Right.
now. I said, you can't drive and be in a conversation 100%, and they're not connecting to the person calling in that's in pain. All over, and they don't have time for these. So they started that, and their conversion rate, if you will, from inbound leads to people coming into the center went from 8.4% to like 24% in
Oh,
about
wow.
3 months. Just because I heard it, I could hear it in the conversations, and that was another one. So, creativity is. I just had that conversation with a client this morning. A good salesperson is creative. They think outside the box. They really listen to what their person, like the customer, potential customer is saying to
Yeah.
them, and then they come up with creative and different ways. They really have to internalize. I always tell my sales teams when I'm coaching, which I do some of the sales coaching, you have to listen to understand. Don't listen to respond. And I used to do it. I mean, everybody, a
Yeah.
lot of people do. Their mind's swirling while the other person's still talking. Shut it off. And everything they say, but then it might take you 5, 10 seconds, and it might be uncomfortable at first to think about what you're going to say. But that also makes you look thoughtful. And so think about it and then respond. It's not a race. So I
Right.
tell a lot of people, and I still say it. I sometimes still do it.
Right.
So, it's
Right. We all do.
nature.
Yeah, we're human that way. So I'll ask you a couple questions about a couple things that's changed over the years in business, right? We we have the post-COVID, and we also have where uh, uh, the telemarketing by spam, or I call them spammers, not true telemarketing, credible companies or what have you. How do you address, or what kind of advice can you give to those listening about what to do about, those cold calls and the calls that are going out? Because we know that businesses will answer the phone more often than someone, than consumers will. But tell us a little bit about how you've kind of overcome that, during post-COVID, and then also the whole issue around the telemarketer blasts.
So, there's a lot of these telemarketers, and I literally did this once. A telemarketer called me and said, "Do you like to drink dirty water?" And I said, "Yes." And it stopped them dead in their tracks. Because that
Yeah,
was their script. And you're supposed to say no, and then they're
yeah,
supposed to give you the solution. And I knew what
yeah,
they were doing, and I just blew them out of the water. And then I finally paused and said, "But you didn't know what to say, did you?" "No, I didn't." I said, "I did it on purpose. I actually pitched this person." You know, so when you do the cold calling, it's all about your messaging and really, really understanding problems, issues, and stressful areas your
right,
client's facing.
right,
That's what you have to address in your cold messages. And what I
right.
do is I do a thing, my value proposition, you got to build 8 or 10 of those
Mm,
areas. Are you tired of people not calling you back? Are you tired? Whatever it is, right?
right,
You're trying to get service. You can't even get a human on the phone, whatever it
right,
is. If your competition does that and you always talk to a human, put that in there. And
right,
you pick a couple of these, maybe one or two on every message, email as well, and you build on those. And what I say is usually somebody's going to raise their hand and say, "Oh, I'm sick of that one, so I'm going to call you back." Right.
right,
And then also on the email side, videos. Use videos. Don't care. Use videos. Don't care how you get them in there or what you do. And in the subject line of the email, say video, have a video for you. The guy I just talked to, I made a custom video for you, and he did. It was built by an AI. He admitted that. I said, that wasn't,
Right.
I said, that's cool, still good, you got me, and we're very about them, not about us. If you open up your cold call, hey, we've been in business 38 years. Who cares? Hey, here's a picture of my building. Who cares? How do you help them? Focus on them and focus on them and then focus on them some more. And that's going to change you. That'll make you different than 80% at least of the people out there in the world right now.
Yeah, that's great advice. Two key things that I've gotten from our conversation today, right? One, when you were helping to solve a problem, you weren't when you were helping solve a problem, you were actually selling a lot more than when you're trying to sell something. And the second piece is, make it about them and not about us, right? The person who's trying to work with
Absolutely.
a potential client. And I think those are really two things that people go, oh, I knew that. Yeah, but do you do that? And that's really good advice that you provided over today. Uh, any other new metrics that are out there that people should be aware of? Hey, when we're looking at sales, people used to do this, and now we really focus on, X instead of Y. Is there anything big changes in the sales process that you've seen in the last 5 years?
No, well, I mean, okay, here's my take on that whole thing. I'm old school. We call it blocking and tackling. You've got to do the basics.
Right.
Sales is sales is sales. People buy for people they know, like, and trust. You got
Hmm.
to build those things. That being said, don't be a dinosaur. I constantly look at new technologies, AI. I just did a talk at the St. Louis Business Expo over in St. Charles a couple of weeks ago on AI
Okay.
supporting sales. And I said,
Okay.
look, you got to use these tools. If you can drive efficiency, when I was an electrical engineer automating factories, what did I think about? Processes to drive
Right.
efficiency.
Right.
If you can drive efficiency in your sales using AI tools or any tool, I don't care what it is, any technology. CRMs. I mean, I used the CRM in 95, it was DOS.
Yeah.
So I mean, that was old.
Yeah.
It was great.
Yeah.
Gold mine.
Remember that.
It's a great, it's around. But yeah,
Right.
keep an eye on new technologies. Don't be closed minded. Trust, but verify. Like these AI tools, you just let them go. I mean, you've got to look
Okay.
at everything this thing is putting out to make sure it's you and it sounds like you.
Right.
I
Gotcha.
mean, AI chatbots, you got to box them in.
Yeah. That's
Just
that's true.
that's simple. Yeah.
That's great advice. Anything else you want to share with us today on the business spotlight before we start wrapping up?
Uh, no, I mean, do the daily work. It's that it's not a grind. You got to find joy in everything you do. There are things nobody likes to do, but you still got to
Right.
do them and maybe figure out or outsource it. Hell, that's fine.
Right.
But just do the daily work and commit to something and stick with it. Because here's what happens, and it happened to me when I started this. I've been doing this for 7 years now. I'm excited. I'm excited. I'm excited. It's brand new, and I'm getting going. And then boom, nothing's happening. What's going on? Nobody loves me. Everybody hates me. I'm going to eat some worms, like the song we used to sing to our kids.
Right.
And you're down that quagmire. There's a book called Crossing the Chasm that talks about this
Yeah.
very thing.
Remember that. Yeah.
Excited, go down in that chasm. And if you stop there, you're done. You've got
Right.
to keep going with daily work. And next thing you know, out the other side, I'm going backwards. Out the other side you come. And,
Right.
it took a year for me to get there. And I remember when it happened and I recognized it. I'm like, right, I'm in the bottom of this chasm, and I got to power my way through it because this is not fun. I'm not enjoying this. I know I could if I had, if I wasn't stressing over clients and all the things. It didn't take long. It might not have taken a year, but I picked up two, three, four clients, and all of a sudden I'm running with that versus worried about and next thing you know, it kind of just gets its own wheels and off you go. So just stick with it. Don't give up too early.
Perfect. Perfect. Well, I'll ask you two more questions to kind of wrap up. So I'm in the Business Network International, BNI. We talked about that earlier. There's a lot of networking organizations that are out there. It's just one I happen to be in. So provide us your ideal customer and then your ideal referral partner.
Okay. My ideal customer, business to business. The industry's not too big a deal. I mean, I kind of technical, so some of those are seem to be better, but it doesn't matter. I have a client right now that sells salon products to salons
Okay.
as a manufacturer. So
Right.
not technical. I guess he does, but I'll never get it, what the different hair colors do and all
Right.
that stuff. I
Right.
asked them if they
Right.
put extensions.
Right.
They said no. So
Mhm.
that's one, but size wise, I can go down to $1 million. I go smaller sometimes. Those I'll help a few of those. Sometimes I just do that to help them. Not a
Mhm.
lot of time, but try to give them it's just some ideas.
Mhm.
Uh, Typically, my sweet spot's probably 2 million to 50 million in sales,
Mhm.
B2B.
Gotcha.
Sales teams. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was agreeing.
But then for referral partners, people like me and you, people that deal with businesses, um, marketing, CMOs, fractional chief marketing people, lawyers, HR people, you know, people that work with businesses in different aspects than what I do,
Mhm.
that see the pain that they have. EOS is a great operating system. It's a great tool for people. I don't know if you
Right.
guys work with that, but they're great referral partners for me because they see holes in that sales seat
Right.
and they say, you need to talk to this guy. I'd say 40% of my clients are EOS people.
Gotcha.
So
Very
that's really
good.
my idea.
Well, I appreciate your time today. If you could tell us again about your
Yeah,
company
thank
and
you.
how someone can reach out to you, then we can wrap it up.
Yeah. So you can get me on LinkedIn, just Mark MRC, that's METV. Search me, it's easy. My email address is kind of a weird one. It's MMETZ at Sales Acceleration, and it's spelled SalesXceleration. And between those two, that's the easiest way. My website is www.optimussales, all one word, OPTIMUSSALES.com. If you're in the sales management or sales world, check out my blogs. I do a couple a month and they're all educational. There's a couple in there to sell about what I do and how
Right.
I can help you and things like that.
Right.
But 90% of them are about different challenges that business owners and sales people have and some ideas around them. So feel free to go out there and you have a question, give me a call. I'll talk sales to anybody. And I'm not a good salesman. I probably won't sell you.
Yeah. Great. Well, thank you very much again, and we really appreciate that.